Blessings, warriors of the world. I'm back again. I wanted to talk about something else. Um, it's another conversation I want to have. Something I don't talk about often. Um, I'm sure you heard many other prophetic voices or whomever talk about this possibly. However, I want to talk about how the call is not comfortable. How the call is not comfortable. Listen, over the last 9 months, a lot of people didn't know this, mainly because it wasn't meant for them to know. However, I'm sharing it now. I had to teach my mentees in WC from an Airbnb. I was in an Airbnb because I needed to find a new home. And I couldn't find a new home in time, so I had to go into an Airbnb. So, praise God, the Airbnb had a desk, but I taught from the desk in spite of my own concerns for housing, in spite of, being in a shared Airbnb. It wasn't one just by myself. I had my own room, but I praise God for that. Um, and child, one time, actually more than once, after I left the Airbnb, I went to stay with a friend to save money because the Airbnb time there was getting too extensive and costing me richly. It was costing me. It was all in my pockets, y'all. And so I went to my friend's house and had my own room there. But in that process, there was no desk there. I I taught my mentees on several occasions from the bathroom. I put the toilet seat down, slapped my laptop on top of that sink, and taught them what the Lord gave me to teach them. Yeah, I could have canceled. I could have, you know, been a part of the cancel culture. I could have canceled. I could have been like, oh, this not professional. But here's the fact of the matter. Here's the truth. I was committed. And given the fact that the call is not um, comfortable, this is what you do. I was commissioned to teach. I was commissioned to guide these women and take them on their own personal healing and inner leadership journey. So, as a leader, it is not about perfection. I remember many years ago before I started Warrior Lifestyle Solutions, I put everything on hold because I wanted all of it perfect. I felt like I had to have a perfect website, perfect page, say the perfect thing, have everything, even my in person events had to be perfectly organized. Now, do I like excellence? Yes, I do. I love beauty. So I try to create a atmosphere as such. However, what I found that it was paralyzing me. It was keeping me stuck, stuck in analysis paralysis, so much so that I wasn't doing nothing. So there's never a perfect time to show up. There's never a perfect time. And the call is not comfortable. There was also another instance during this process. I was invited to speak for an event online. And once again, it's like I said, I didn't have a desk. This time I was like, I'm not going to teach these women from across the world on the toilet seat. I asked the Lord for help, and He gave me insight and told me to call a friend. So after work, mind you, I was working during this whole process, looking for a new home, staying in Airbnbs, staying with friends, processing my own emotions, having my own tears and fears addressed, if you understand what I'm saying. But after work, because I was committed and because the call is not comfortable, I drove across town to my friend's home so I can use her desk and so I can teach. So I came to talk to you about that. That if you're waiting for the perfect timing, you're waiting for the perfect setting, you're missing the whole point. It is not about perfection, but it's about purpose. It is about allowing yourself to be trained in the process. It is it's about allowing yourself to be matured. It's about allowing your faith to have its perfect work inside of you and for God to perfect you in the process. Because let me tell you something, through trials, through valleys, the real you will be revealed. So it shows how are you gonna face these things. But if you're waiting on the perfect timing, you're waiting for the perfect setting, you're missing your opportunity to grow. You're missing the opportunity for endurance to be cultivated inside of you. You're missing your training process. I could have canceled. But what happened is, I also showed my mentees that it's possible to persevere under trial. It is also possible to show up in the midst of the storm. And it's also possible for them to, they don't have to, I also showed them that you don't have to be perfect. We have been taught that we have to be perfect in everything. But showing up is more powerful than being perfect. It took me a long time to understand that. And sometimes that perfectionist spirit wants to rise up, but I have to tell it to sit its tail down because I have purpose to pursue. I have assignments to complete. I have people who need me. So it's about showing up. So once again, if you've been waiting on the perfect platform, if you're waiting on the perfect setting, the perfect timing, and one more thing I want to add. If you've been waiting on that perfect group or that perfect group or person to support you, you're missing the whole point. You're missing the whole point. It is about your endurance, my darling. It's about your maturation. It's about your growth. It's about your personal development. It is about your obedience. It is about you growing and maturing from within. So I just wanted to come and encourage someone who's been waiting for the perfect time, for someone to support them, for the perfect setting. I just came and encourage you to just operate in excellence and not perfection. There is a difference. Consider that. There is a difference. So the call is not comfortable. And we may feel like our excuses are valid because I had some valid, I had some valid, not necessarily, it may not feel like an excuse to you. I had some valid things going on in my life, y'all, but listen here. I'm not saying that my mentees wouldn't have cared, but they paid for you to show up. And God paid a price for you to show up. And also, I try to remember that my life is not my own. The gift that I was given is not my own. It does not belong to me. I'm called to submit it, called to give it. So, tell me, what was the most uncomfortable place in space that your call has been in? When was it uncomfortable for you to show up? I want to know. And if you have a hard time showing up and coming out of that perfectionist spirit, just say me in the comments. I want to help you. I got something for you. I don't know a lot of things, but I know some things because let me tell you this. Through the storms, through the trials, through the Lord raising me from the ashes of despair, I allowed Him to teach me. I allowed myself to learn many lessons that I needed to learn in the process. See, that's the other thing you miss. You miss the opportunity to learn, to gain wisdom, to gain understanding, to gain insight. Okay? So if you need help, just say me in the comments. I got something for you. I'm here for you, warrior. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.